I'm a bit late today. Bit late to post some things in the Discord. Anyway, what's up? My name is James Cool. I'm the owner of PaydirtTFS.com. Today, we're going to be talking some PGA. This is not something that we have done too much in the past, but it's something I want to start doing a little bit more. We're going to be talking a little bit more about niche sports, things like PGA, NASCAR, MMA, and the like. So wanted to, kick it off with today. With Farmers Insurance Open. So today we're going to be using a couple different things to build out some lineups. We're going to build out some lineups using the range of outcomes, using hand builder. We're going to take a look at the optimals, and then we're going to jump into the portfolio manager, and we're going to take a look at how things look in the portfolio manager. If you've got any questions, then feel free to leave them in the chat, and I will answer them as I answer them. This might be a little bit touch and go. Actually, I'm going to see if anybody wants to join me from the group. Let's see. All right. So anyway, this is going to be a little bit more touch and go. I don't usually talk PGA. So, we're going to do the best we can. We're going to go through the models. And, I guess we might as well get started. I should probably share screen here. There we go. All right. So obviously, we're going to be taking a look at the PGA models here. Oh, by the way, if you did not get the announcement earlier, the site is now paydirtdata.com, not paydirtdfs.com, paydirtdata.com. Cool change. Excited about it. More of a robust offering, I think, overall for what Paydirt does and offers. So pretty excited about that one. Not anything super major, but worth stating. So I'm going to go to the range of outcomes here. I already have it loaded up. And here we are. So overall, this is a slate that is what I would consider more of a wide open slate, right? The last time that I checked, Xander was the top overall odds to win at like 6% or something. I think it was plus 1,400 the last time that I ran projections. When you have a favorite who's plus 1,400, I think you can kind of take a lot of different shots in a lot of different ways. I don't think you really have to go along with what the field is doing. For instance, I mean, Xander's 34% owned, projected to be 34% owned. And while he is a favorite to win, his cost is up there. And overall, like he just doesn't have that good of odds overall. I think let's go take a look really quick at a couple of other things. Let's go over to the research and take a look at the salary versus odds table. God, that is bright. All right, hold on. Don't do that. Dark mode. There we go. Set. All right, there we go. So overall, he is most expensive. His win odds are about 7%. It's top 5, 25, top 10, 43, top 20, 64. But he pretty much just like sets the table, right? In terms of his price, he's appropriately priced based on his ranking in terms of win odds. You can see that for all four of these top guys, right? They're all just like their salary versus their win percentage, top 5, everything like that is exact. But then you start getting into the Jason Day, Siwoo, JJ Spawn. These guys are a little bit more expensive than they deserve to be. Hideki and Goddard are less expensive than they deserve to be based on their win odds and based on their top 5 odds and everything like that. So while Xander is fine, he still only has 7% chance to win. He doesn't offer any extra value on his price based on his odds to win and do well. The guys who do are going to be Goddard and Matsuyama. As you continue to go down, you can always sort this by like win versus top 5. That's usually where I'll start. You're going to have somebody like Patrick Rogers, who at 7,200 has, relatively low odds across the board, but he's too cheap for this. Right. If we sort this by salary again, we go down, we look at him next to his peers, next to somebody like Davis Thompson. He has better odds than Davis Thompson at the same price, better odds than Novak. Michael Kim didn't come through. Jordan L. Smith is less, right? I mean, like all these guys in the same price range, he is just a way better play than all of them. So he's going to rate out really, really well. I'm going to guess that we're going to get a lot of him in the portfolio manager. And if I were to sort the range of outcomes here on value, I'm going to guess that he is up there as well. Yeah, there is Patrick Rogers. 19% 10x rate. Not too bad, not terrible. Top 5 rate only 9%, but I think that he's probably going to show up quite a bit. Not as much as, say Ryan Gerard, who looks really, really good, and his ownership is acceptable at 11%, right? Overall, though, when we look at medians, Cantlay is the top overall at 87.99. Jason Day is second at 85.85. Goddard up at 83. Xander at 81. And then Gerard at 79. And then we have a big drop. So these are going to be the ones that you're going to have the most focus on. And of course, they're for the most part more expensive, with Gerard and Goddard up being the ones that are values here, and Cantlay and Xander being the ones that are like, more expensive, like up there in the top upper echelons. Then you jump down into the second group. And these are kind of like the secondary guys in the core based on the Paydirt projections. We have Clark, Siwoo, and Harris English projecting for 71.6, 71.2, and 71 basically on the dot. All three of these guys are fine plays. It's just a very clear second tier to the top overall median guys. And then you have a bunch of dudes that, are fine, right? These are guys that you're not going to want too much of, but are fine plays overall. And then you start dropping down into this lower tier where guys just basically project out as getting points, but no finishing points, right? Gerard's going to be closer to 18 and 20%. Too many shows talking about. I could believe that. Yeah, he's too cheap. I mean, look, like when we sort this by top 5, he's very clearly too cheap at 7,200. Hodge is another guy that probably deserves a little bit of consideration. And if we're going to look to go dumpster diving, like Aldrich and Phillips here are probably the guys that we're going to end up with. But we'll see what the portfolio manager says. I did already load this up, but we're going to end up reloading it just because I want to show people how to do it. It's not hard, obviously, but it's worth showing again. All right. So let's jump over really quick into the optimals and take a look at some things here. So let's see here. Top overall projection that I have is 424.4, 80% ownership. It's not terrible. Looks like we get a lot of Patrick Rogers. That makes sense. We get a lot of Goddard up. That makes sense. We got a lot of Gerard. That makes sense. Ooh, Pearson Coody. So Pearson Coody, we were getting a whole bunch of last year when he was first jumping onto the tour. His pro-am or college or whatever, his minor league stats were really, really good. So the models liked him a lot. So it's cool to see him some more. And then we are getting Patrick Cantlay over Xander. How much Xander are we getting anyway? Ooh, not much. 4%. All right, that's going to be a cool stat. Okay, cool. So let's go over into the hand builder really quick and just fetch an optimal. So the optimal that we are starting with is going to be Cantlay, Stevens, Goddard, Clark, Rogers, Coody. And, ownership here, that's not bad. Like, that's fine. There's probably no reason why we would really need to get too far away from things here. If we wanted to, we could probably get a little bit more ownership by coming up from Cantlay to Xander and then coming down from... Let's see, we probably want to come down from Clark to somebody, I guess. Like, let's just try that really quick. Actually, where's Clark? Where's Clark? Miss him? Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's save that. And then let's drop out Clark and Cantlay for Xander. And then how much do we have left? 8,100. So 8,100. Let's see. If we wanted more ownership, I guess we'd probably go Hodgegaard or Thor Bjornsson. And I mean, that's obviously like not even a competition, right? Like, it's 30-point difference just by making that 2v2. But if you wanted more ownership, I suppose it's not the worst thing to go with this one, like in single entry. But I don't even think that you need to do it this week. Like, I don't see the benefit in really focusing too much on ownership because this tournament is so wide open. But I mean, that's a fair ownership optimal if you wanted to go that way. I don't think that you could get higher up from Rogers, right? Probably not. I mean, I guess you get Hodgegaard, but like I think Rogers is probably going to have ownership. You'd also do this one, which that one is 384, and now you have pretty much like all guys who are going to have a little bit of ownership. I do think that Goddard is going to be higher. Oh, Gerard. Let's add Gerard in here. All right. How much is Gerard? Gerard is 8,600. So can we get these guys together with Gerard? Probably not, right? What do we have to do to get him? We need 900 less. Is that 6,900? Is there anybody for 6,900 that has ownership? Castillo, Smotherman, whoever the fuck that is. Probably not, right? Like this is a pretty hard core to put together. I wonder what people are going to do. Actually, here, yeah, let's just do this really quick. Let's go with ownership and see what the ownership optimal is. Cantlay, Peterson, Cootie, Rogers, Bhatia, and Schauffele. Xander. Really? Oh, I guess let me grab that one. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's fair. So if I was going to go with just a single lineup, like I think it's pretty clear that we just go with the optimal. I don't really think you need to get too much farther away from this. I suppose if you wanted to, and you wanted to try to get with Gerard, where would you go? I guess you'd get off Clark, right? That's the only way that you would do it because he's going to give you more ownership. So I guess what we end up doing is going, fetching this, and then we come off of Clark for Gerard. And then we have $100 less. Can we get somebody better than Sam Stevens in terms of ownership? Probably, right? Yeah, there it is. That's better. So that gets you Thor, Gerard, who we think is probably going to be higher owned, Cootie, Rogers, Goddard, and Cantlay. If we could, we would want to come down, I guess, a little bit more. Let's see. Ooh, Ludwig is in this field? I didn't realize that. Who's the cheap guy that's going to be like high owned? Patrick Rogers. Yeah, Rogers is going to carry some ownership, isn't he? Castillo, I guess. Probably not that much, though. All right. So, yeah, I like you could go with this route if you wanted to. But I think that this is probably just the one that you use. This is probably just the best optimal to use. We get Cootie, we get Rogers, Clark, Goddard, and Cantlay. Cantlay is a higher projection than what I have for Xander in the projections. The only one that you're really missing out on is Gerard. And you would have to go Gerard over Clark, and that has another 2v2 somewhere else. Like, it just makes it a little bit weird. So, like, you can go with this one. This one is a bit higher ownership. This is 85% ownership. But you can get 90% ownership by forcing in Xander here. You can get a little bit higher, 90%, by forcing him in here. So I guess if you wanted to use one or the other, these are probably the two to use. Let's jump into the portfolio manager. So for those who have not used the portfolio manager, it's super easy to load now, right? Before you had to like go and grab a CSV from DraftKings and then load it in and then go and grab a CSV for your portfolio and then go get one for the projections. But now all you have to do is just select golf, say whether you want to do projections, ownership, or a mix. It's always main slate for golf, obviously. I think for this tournament, it's probably appropriate to drop down to like 48,000. Maybe not. I don't know. You can do it if you want to. I'm probably going to do it for this, at least for this explanation. And then we just download things. So we can load from the Paydirt database. We can load a set of optimals, and we can load the projections file. Then we'll just jump over and manage. Okay, so here are all of our lineups. So again, we have this top one, and it projects really, really well, right? It projects about 6 points better than the second best lineup that I currently have in the database. Just a really good lineup. Let's take a look really quick at some basic stuff. So let's see what we have in terms of ownerships and exposures. Big ownership edge on Patrick Rogers. There's no way he comes in at 8% owned. I think he's probably going to come in at like 15% owned. Especially like I have seen people tweeting about him. I've seen like ETR mention him. Like Patrick Rogers is going to come in higher than that. And so what I can do if I think that, and I'll go do it here in a second, is just go change his projections in the back end of this so that we can get an appropriate read on it. Got her up at 17%. Fine with me. That's good. Still lots of own edge there. Pearson Cootie would come in with 50%. Cantlay 43%. And then, like I said, the big one here is going to be Xander. So we're just going to be on a big Xander fade. Like forcing in 10% or whatever, it's probably fine. But I just don't think that you need to. I don't think that you should feel the need to jam him in. It doesn't make any sense to jam him in this spot. Hideki, I'm actually surprised to see lower here. I guess that's because of all the Cantlay that we got. Seems about right. All right, let's take a look at some combos. So let's take a look at two-man combos first. I'm going to guess it's going to be like Cantlay and Rogers or Cantlay and Cootie. Oh, Rogers and Cootie. There it is. Okay, so 32% of my lineups have Patrick Rogers and Pearson Cootie. 27% have Goddard up in Rogers. 25% have Cantlay and Rogers. 22% have Goddard up in Cootie. 21% Cantlay Cootie. So this is the core, right? I mean, we saw it already when we go over here and we analyze. The players that the portfolio manager is building around are Patrick Cantlay, Pearson Cootie, Patrick Rogers, and Chris Goddard, right? Those are like the main four. And then we have a bunch of Gerard and a bunch of Day. And then it really drops down off a cliff, right? That nobody else is exposed over 30%. So normally what I would do if I was using Portfolio Manager for a different sport is I would come up here and I would immediately say, okay, I know the globals that I like to set. Just initially, I want to make sure that I have lineups that are in the top 10% in terms of finishing percentile, which is here. And I also want to make sure that all my lineups are positive edge, right? So that's just like a baseline thing. However, if I do that in PGA, I'm not going to get that many lineups, right? Like I only have 78 lineups left to work with. Now, if you're doing this for 20 max, that's fine, right? Whatever, fuck it. Go ahead and use 20 of these lineups. You could just straight up go up here and say stratify on diversity. And I'll talk in a second about how I want to stratify for this specific kind of tournament. But you come here to say 20 lineups on this, and then there you go. There's 20 lineups, right? And then you would come. What you would do is you come down here and you'd want to make sure that your exposures are what you want them to be, because maybe you don't want 80% Goddard, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. 65% Gerard, 65% Cantlay. I'm gonna guess I don't have any Xander in here. Maybe one lineup. Yeah, no Xander in here whatsoever. Which is fine. Whatever. But like I said, I don't really think that it's appropriate to only work with 78 lineups. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this and have some different macros specifically for PGA. So, okay, we're back to normal. Let's come back up here. Now, instead of making it so they're only positive edge lineups, we're just going to say that this is fine to say -1, but we want to focus on lineups that have a finishing percentile in the top 10%. So let's just work with that. I don't think that it took hold there, which is fine. Do that again. Oh, wait. Do all of them? Really? Oh, so it was actually the edge that was fucking us on this, right? Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. All right. So all of our lineups actually have a really good finishing percentile. And that makes sense, by the way, because all of the ownership project, like all of these lineups have 2 or 3 players that are 5 to 10% owned. So you're going to have really high finishing percentile projections. So instead, we're fine with this, obviously. Let's try to do some other things that lower out our lineups. We want to do some micro filtering. No, I don't think that's necessary. Let's take a look at combos. So let's see. Are there any combos that I really just don't want? Right? Let's go back here. Let's take a look. Oh, wait. Just kidding. Hold on. First, let's go into projections management. And let's take care of some ownership stuff. So I think that Patrick Rogers is not going to be 8% owned. I think that he's going to be like 15% owned. Like 15.5%. Let's say that. Right? Let's see. Gerard, I think it's going to be something more like, I don't know, let's say 18% owned, right? Say 18.5, that'll work for me. Then I don't think that really anybody else is going to jump that much, right? I mean, maybe this dude jumps up a bit because people like talking about him. Maybe Bhatia jumps up a little bit. I'm not sure. Let's just go with this initially. I don't know that Xander is going to be as high owned as he projects to be. Who the hell is Xander? Oh, there he is. I'm going to say he's going to be a little bit less than this. Okay, cool. All right, so now we can go over here. So now when we look at this, yeah, there we go. Now we see some finishing percentiles that are creeping up a little bit because they have like a Rogers and a Goddard up together, right? Let's go back down here. And we have a lot of that. We have a lot of Goddard up plus Rogers. And I think that's fine because we're going to be lower on Xander. So, okay, here's something that we can do. Just first off, let's say conditionals managers player. We're going to remove lineups containing Xander, where they also contain all of Goddard up and Rogers. Reason being that that's going to be a really highly owned combo, right? So I want to avoid that. Not really super into that. Let's see. What else do we maybe not want to have? Let's go over here and take a look at some things. I think that I maybe, man, do I want to have all of this Goddard up plus Rogers? I think I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Okay. Instead, let's now say that I'm going to stratify really quick on diversity. And let's just say that I wanted, I don't know, let's say 150. Actually, wait. Let's save some things here first. So new base setting, applied conditional. Save current base. Right? Okay. So let's first just do a diversity trim here, or diversity stratify. And I want to try a couple different things here because I want to see what the different kinds of lineups look like. So let's quickly say player stats here and analyze. All right, so we end up with 60% Rogers, 56% Cootie, 55% Goddard up, 53% Cantlay. Probably like no, yeah, we get 3.3% Xander. Okay, so that's fine. However, I wanted to make a point with this kind of tournament while talking about stratifying for diversity. So this is one set, and we're just going to save this really quick as reg diversity strat. I'll just save that. But one thing about this tournament is, since it's so wide open, I don't think that I want to have a really tight core here. You know what I mean? Like, if I think that this tournament is going to be kind of like, you know, anybody can win it, I don't really want to have like a super tight core around guys. So one thing that I want to try to do here is do a diversity stratification, that is more along the lines of lineups that are more diversified, right? So when I use this sample range, what this is going to do is if I set this to 50 to 100, what it's going to do is it is going to give me a diversity of 150 lineups out of, so I want to get this guy. Boop. There we go. So what this will do, if I have this 0 to 100, what that'll do is it'll give me 150 lineups from the highest diversity to the lowest diversity. So like the most diverse lineup to the least diverse lineup. If I do this, then what it's going to do is it's going to give me 150 lineups that are from the highest diversity lineup to the 50th percentile in diversity. So that is at least 50th percentile in diversity or greater. So what we're going to see when I do this, we'll be able to compare the two here, is now we should have diversity that is really, really high down to about the mid-range, right? And that looks about right. So now when I take a look at the player stats, what we should see is a wider range of players. So now we have Gotterup as the highest overall, 54%, but Cantlay drops down to 36%, Clark down to 29%. We have a much wider range here. We end up with twice as much Xander, right? We have 6.67 instead of 3.3. So I think that this is probably a more appropriate way to look at this kind of tournament. Whereas you're looking at your portfolio and saying, I want to avoid having the more strict, tight core and more scatter it out a little bit more and have lineups that are less like each other while still utilizing the optimals, right? And another way that we can kind of visualize this is if we analyze the combos here with this one, and I'll take a screenshot of this really quick so we can just do a comparison. Right, so yeah. All right. So here is the combos for that. We're going to end up saving this as another setting. So high diversity strat, save as base. Right. So let's go ahead and load up our reg diversity strat here. There it is. And now let's take a look at these combos and we can compare them against the combos that I just ran, right? So yeah, you can already see like 44% exposure. Oops. All right, so you can see here that like the highest overall exposure combo in the high diversity setting is Gotterup plus Jason Day at 21%. In the regular diversity one, where we're still including the lineups that are not diverse, right? Like that, like 1%, 2%, 3% in diversity, we get 44% of our total portfolio of Rogers plus Cootie. And like, maybe that's fine in a tournament where I think that it's fine to have a tighter core. But in a tournament like this, I much prefer a spread like this. I much prefer having more combos that are less concentrated. In this one, we have 5 different combos that are more than 25% of our total portfolio. In this one, we have only 2 that are over 20%, right? So that feels a lot better for a tournament where we don't think that there's any like must-have plays. I don't think that Xander is must-have play. I don't think that Gotterup or Rogers or Cootie or any of these guys are really must-have plays. There's plays that are better than others, but I don't think that there's any plays that are like must-haves. I have to have this combo of guys. So I think I'm probably going to go with this, right? Or no, the other one, right? So let's load back up that other one. High diversity. And let's just take a look at this and make sure that we're happy with it, right? Analyze. Yeah, I think this one just looks way better. The average lineup edges are a little bit worse, but the average finishing percentiles are so good that I think that it makes up for it. I think it's fine. Okay, One other thing that I wanted to note here on diversification. Another thing that I think is worth doing, and let's go ahead and load up the applied conditional one here, which is the one that has no Xander with Goddard and Rogers, because I think that's going to be a really highly owned combination. Another thing that I like to do is take a look at weighted ownership. So one thing that I do in NBA is I will build out a portfolio of highly owned lineups, right? Like specifically highly owned. I'll usually do like the sample range of 75% or higher. And so what that'll do is it'll give me 150 lineups between the ranges of the highest weighted ownership and the 75th percentile of highest ownership, or I guess 25th percentile from the top, right? For this one, though, I think we could do the opposite, right? Since I think that ownership is kind of like a pointless thing for this tournament, I don't think that you should be like killing yourself to get ownership on this one. I think that we could also do something like this, where we say that we don't want any lineups that are above the 50th percentile in terms of weighted ownership. So let's take a look and see what that looks like here. And these will probably be really interesting too. So first, let's analyze combos. So this one, again, gives us a really, really spread out group. Not quite as spread out as having high diversity, but a very spread out group, right? 26% of these lineups are Goddard plus Day. Goddard plus Cantlay is 24. Day plus Cantlay. Goddard plus Sam Stevens is 20%. Let's take a look at player stats. So in this one, we do have higher overall exposure than in the high diversity setting. But Goddard, he's a really good play, and I think that we're fine with him as being like part of the main core. I don't think I want him at 60%. We'll probably do some exposure management here in a second to drop him down. But then Cantlay and Jason Day, this would be the core if you're looking for lower owned lineups, right? These are the three guys that Paydirt prefers in lower owned lineups. Average ownership edges are really, really good. Obviously, you're going to see very little Xander in these ones. If we were to do this the other way and say 50 to 100, you'd get a lot more Xander. And maybe that's fine. Maybe that's the way that you want to do it. Maybe you think that ownership is more efficient this week. I personally do not. But if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way too. Okay, so let's go ahead. I mean, I'll save this, but I don't think I'm going to use it. Back. No. All right, we'll save that really quick. High diversity shot. Damn you. I need to fix that. It's an annoying bug. All right, we'll load that up. Okay, so let's take a look really quick at the exposures that we have here and see if we want to cut any of them down. So 54%, I kind of don't want more than like 40% of anyone in my lineups. This tournament just seems super wide open. So even though this is already high diversity, I would like to take a look at dropping these guys down. So let's go ahead and go into the exposure management and say, got her up. I'm going to lock him at like 40%. And I don't want anybody who's less than $500 cheaper. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and do that. So that'll drop him down a bit. Now let's see what we got. Yeah, okay, there's 40%. So let's drop Gerard down a bit. And we'll do the same thing. Portfolio. Analyze that. Cool, cool. And we'll do day. All right. So let's see what we got here. When we have 40% as a max, we end up with a good amount of Wyndham Clark. We like him. He looks good. Sam Stevens, Patrick Rogers, we're probably going to be only a little bit over the field on. Cootie, we're a little bit over the field. Fine with me. Even on Thor. Low on Xander. I mean, I guess we could probably try to get a little bit more Xander, right? That's probably fine. Let's try to get like 10% Xander. And we're fine with these things, I think. I mean, it's going to be hard to get him in otherwise. Try to get 10% Xander. I don't even know if we're going to be able to do it. I imagine it probably drops my can't lay a little bit more. Yeah, okay. There. There's 10% Xander, and that feels fine. That feels fine. Let's analyze that. Cool. Okay, so now the top overall combo that I have is Cantlay and Gerard at 16%. Nothing over 20%. And that feels right for this tournament. I don't feel that I want to have too many combos that are a really, really tight core. A whole bunch of lineups that have strong average finishing rates. Diversity is higher rather than lower. I like that. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, so let's go ahead and download this. Cool. Now, I mean, you obviously don't need all these things. Let's go ahead and remove these. Cool. And let's go over to DraftKings. And obviously, I already went through this process once. Golf, PGA, download this. Now we have this. Let's take our lineups. Throw them in here. Save it. This is 210. Load. 210. And there we go. Cool. So that is how I'm going to play this one. I think that this one, like I said, this is just a more wide open tournament. I don't think that you need to do anything around like tightening up your core. I don't think that you need to be jamming in Xander at 30% ownership. I think you should keep it relatively wide. I think that you should try to keep your combos low and up your diversity on this one. If you want to use the hand builder to build out lineups and like play around with these things, I think you should do that. It's a lot of fun to do this and just kind of like make some different comparisons. You can use Pivot Finder if you want to use. I didn't even go into the Pivot Finder, but Pivot Finder is a great tool for a tournament like this, where if somebody like Xander is going to be 34% owned, you know, we drop down the similarity score, and now look at this. Like we have all these different guys that are all lower ownership that have like similar top rates, similar matches. Like fine overall. Jason Day is a terrific comparison against Patrick Cantlay. So yeah, I think this one's going to be good. Should be a good tournament. Tough course and putting is going to suck with the POA and undulations from the people walking and leaving prints. One easy course, though. Yeah, I mean, I just think this one, like, there's a reason why the odds are so wide on this one, right? I think you can kind of just make an argument for any of these guys. We don't have a super strong field here. We have a relatively tough course. We have a whole bunch of people who are, like, mostly appropriately priced. Like I said, if you look at the salary versus odds, like mostly people are just appropriately priced, right? We have a whole bunch of ones in this top range. And then, you know, we don't have anybody who is like legitimately overpriced outside of maybe Keegan Bradley, who's legitimately overpriced. Denny McCarthy, legitimately overpriced. Michael Kim showing up weird. I'm not sure why, but like those two are the main two who look overpriced. Daniel Brown is overpriced. Like people are mostly just priced effectively. Any way we can get tee times and courses added in the future for showdown slates? So I already actually have that. In the back end of the model, I do take into account easy course or like harder courses, right? I added that in like a couple months ago, I think I remember, where it's basically like if somebody's playing an easy course, they get an adjustment to their projections that prioritizes them, right? But if I don't have it active, then I just don't have it active. Gudgerman and Cootie catching my eye. Yeah, Cootie. Models love Cootie. Models love Cootie. Like if we look here, if you were just like look at basic projections and like basic optimals, Cootie shows up a lot. If we reset this back to basically like the applied conditional. And take a look at the player stats. Grazerman does not look as good in the Paydirt models. But like Cootie looks great. We get 50% Cootie on just like a basic run. Right? I don't think we get that much Grazerman. Yeah, I mean, he's effectively owned. I have Aberg projected terribly. Well, he should have better odds. I don't know what to tell you. I have him projected badly because he projects badly. Let's see. Where is he elsewhere? Where do they have Aberg? Probably relatively well. I don't care. Aberg sucks. He has a cool name, though. Ludwig is cool. All right. I'm going to jump off of here. I think that we covered everything I needed to cover. I'm going to obviously upload this back up on the YouTube for those of you who did not get to watch or like want to rewatch. But I think this has been a pretty good like walkthrough in terms of how to use Portfolio Manager for this kind of stuff, kind of like my thoughts on a tournament like this, how to use the hand builder, how to use player range of outcomes, how to use seller versus odds, like everything that you need to see. If you don't have a subscription, obviously all of this is paywalled. If you want to use it yourself, but you can grab a subscription over at Paydirt, $40 a month for everything included on the site. $160 for the rest of the NBA season, $20 a week, $5 for a day. I am going to have some cool announcements in like 3 days. Be on the lookout for really, really cool stuff in a couple days. So if you need me, reach out to me in the Discord. You can find the Discord here, community Discord. Otherwise, find me over on X or Blue Sky. I did just recently get on Blue Sky. If you want to find me, oh God, I'm not logged in here. Yeah, that one. James McCool, bluesky.social. I'm going to try to grow this up a little bit. I don't really care for fucking social media, but like I have to care because of my platform. So follow me on Blue Sky if you're on Blue Sky. If you're not, then I don't blame you. It seems kind of kitschy. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you. Hit me up if you have questions. Let's win some tournaments.